Muted mic. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the first show of 2022. Hope everybody is doing well. I know you only saw me on Friday. Lucky you, you get me twice this week. Aren't you incredibly blessed or cursed or something like that? I'm not really sure which. That said, anyway, hope everybody is doing well. It is the first show of the year, and since you already saw me on Friday, we may do a shorter show tonight, and then next Sunday we'll do proper full-length show. It kind of depends upon you guys. If you guys have got loads of great questions and loads of great talking points, then maybe we'll do the full hour. So if you want me for the full hour, then get me loaded up with some great Studio One music production, songwriting, arranging, composing questions. Because that's what this show is kind of more about. Now, I did say that 2022, I would like to make the Sunday Night Live show a little bit more topic-based. And so I need your help with that. Whilst I do have some good ideas, I really would like to focus this show more around what you guys want me to talk about and what you guys want to learn, what you guys are interested in, what you guys are interested in finding out what I think about a certain thing. So that being the case, please email me, Jonny at jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk. The website address is down the bottom there. Just put Jonny at in front of the jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk. And then just put Sunday Night Live as your subject for the email and send me your thoughts, send me your ideas. And I would love to make this show all about you guys and what you want from the show rather than what I want from the show. Because what I want from the show might not be the same thing as what you guys want. So you guys are more important to me than I am. So that's kind of where things are. That's what I would like to do for the coming year, 2022, that we have just begun the journey of. Hopefully this year is going to be a bit more adventurous than last year and the last 2 years, in fact, really. So hopefully 2022 is going to be an awesome year for making music for all of you guys, and hopefully being able to play some gigs again for those of you that are in bands or you're a solo artist. Hopefully this will be the year that you are able to stop doing kind of, live stream gigs and actually get out and play in front of audiences. I know we did a little bit of that 2021. Wouldn't it be great if we could kind of feel like that we're back a little bit more permanently there rather than just kind of looking over our shoulders going, COVID, don't come, COVID, stay away. Wouldn't it be nice if we could kind of just, we're going to have to adapt to a new normal, I think, pretty much. But wouldn't it be great if music making in front of a live audience would be a big part of that again? I would love that, personally. I don't have my band anymore. I think I've talked about this before. I ran a couple of bands. I ran a big 15-piece jazz fusion funk band for 20 or so years, but I also ran a little jazz quartet as well, which was nice. And that kind of finished in, I think we kind of came to the conclusion that the prognosis for being able to play live was not looking so good, kind of at the end of 2019, just as, it was becoming, COVID was becoming a pandemic. And so, the four of us went to a pub in Edinburgh, and we sat down and we had a long talk, and we decided kind of with the way things were looking, and it was looking like this virus was going to go all around the world, that maybe we might be in for a period where we can't play together anymore. And so we looked at the financial implications of that, and we decided that it was probably a good idea to disband. So that's what we did. So I don't have a band anymore, but I have in 2021 played some gigs with my parents, which I've not done for a good few years. And so it's been nice to be able to play with them again. My dad plays guitar and sings, and my mother is a singer, and she's a percussionist, and she's a comedian. She's very, very funny. She's extremely entertaining. And so I've been able to go and play some gigs playing bass with them, because they have a guy who plays drums for them as well. So it's been nice to play like a variety of different styles of music with them. So it'd be really nice if we could go back to doing that kind of thing. It would be great. My parents ran for, I think, about 3 years. They ran an open mic night at a local venue to where they are over in Fife, which is about an hour and a quarter away from here. And so they would do that, I think it was every other week, I think it was. And so I would occasionally go and play with some of the bands and some of the artists from Fife, doing that on a Monday night every other week. It was great fun. Loved it. But it would be nice if we could go back to that. So anyway, with that little preamble out of the way, the tune that you listened to at the start of the show there was a piece I wrote to feature the Presona Symphonic Orchestra woodwinds. And I gave it the title Cool Breeze, because that's kind of what it reminded me of. It reminded me of kind of being on a beach somewhere and with a nice, cool, gentle breeze that kind of keeps the heat, nice and not too overwhelmingly hot. And that's kind of what I had in my mind when I wrote that piece. So but yeah, so the low end is kind of underpinned by a couple of bass clarinets and a couple of bassoons, and then you've got clarinets and you've got alto flutes and a couple of regular flutes as well there. Plus a rhythm section of electric bass, this guy, and my drums, my nice little Gretsch drum set. And I did that way back in 2017. Some of you may have seen my little series that I did on the Presona Symphonic Orchestra, and I wrote a different piece of music for each of the different sections. And so this was one of them. For the woodwind section and for the brass, I did a piece called, darn it, I've forgotten the title of that tune. What was that tune called that I did for the brass? Spoken Softly. That's what it's called, Spoken Softly. So I may play that for you another time, if you're interested in hearing it. All right, let's get into the chat and see what's going down. And Billy Morgan was the first one in the house, followed by Ken Moss, and Thomas over in the Philippines is here as well. Else Media, who is Louis, and he is awesome, is here. So Calder Juziak is here, and Tony Stringer, I can never see this right. Paparaptor music, there we go, I think that's what it is. I have never got that right once. Kyle is doing some nice MS-DOS 10 print, Hello World 20 go to 10. I remember doing that kind of thing many, many years ago. Who else is here? Let's go see who else is here. Ironweed Studios is here. Dan Oliver is here. Just Bob is here as well. James Giannoni is here. I can't read today. I don't know why. John Lake is here. Sorry, guys. Mike from Music to Motion is also here. Low Ends is here as well. Not seen you in a while, mate. Good to see you. Welcome. Rich Cresswell is here. Andy Arthur. Good to see you, Andy. Welcome, mate. I have not seen you around for a wee while too, but it's nice to have you here. Let's see. Robert Ziegler is here. John Hawk is here. He says greetings from 2022. Yes, awesome. Bobby Beard is here as well. I think we got the whole crowd here, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much we got the whole crowd here. So if you guys got questions, get them in the chat. Dwayne is here. He says, I made it late. Well, you missed my nice little woodwind jazz thing that I started the show with. So I might play it again at the end for those of you that are interested in it. If you are, let me know. If you don't like my stuff, that's fine. I have no problem if you don't like my music. So, anyway, get your questions into the chat. Otherwise, this will be a really, really short show. However, one thing I did see in the chat, whilst you guys are typing away, one thing I did see in the chat was you talking about sampling some, appliances. I think somebody was talking about sampling a dot matrix printer. I have a little idea that kind of came out of that. And I think maybe we could do this as a challenge that we could all be involved in. And that is to sample some household appliances that we can build into an impact kit that then can be used in a Studio One piece. Where the challenge is that you make a piece only using those samples. So even if they are samples of indefinite pitch, which I'm suggesting that quite a lot might be, for example, fridge doors closing, microwaves beeping, toaster popping up, those kind of things, I'm sure that you will sample. Toilets flushing, taps, smoke alarms, fire alarms, whatever, hoovers, vacuum cleaners, whatever you guys want to record and sample. That would be cool to make kind of an unpitched percussion piece based out of household equipment and household appliances and items. So I'm happy to extend this to car horns and the sound of your car starting up, or garage doors opening and closing, stuff like that. Why don't we do that? That would be really, really cool. So if you're up for this little challenge, then maybe what we could do is we could create a workspace in PersonaSphere, and you could just drop if you're a member of PersonaSphere, you could just drop your samples into that workspace. And then we'll build up a collection. And then we can drag it all into an impact kit. I'll save the kit, and then I will drop the kit into PersonaSphere, and you guys can grab that kit and you can make your own piece of music out of it. Or you can make your own kits out of just the collection of samples to make your own piece. So why don't we set a little limit so that the piece is only 3 minutes long, tops? And you guys can send me your finished pieces of music as well. That would be pretty cool. And we could all we can maybe do a listening session for a Sunday night live. That would be cool. So you could mix down your piece, send it to me as a stereo WAV file, 44.1, 320 kilobits, and all of that good stuff. And then we could do a listening session just for fun. Why not? What do you guys think? Yeah, no bodily functions, no burps, no farts, none of that stuff. That will be for another challenge. So if you guys are up for that, then let me know. Let me know either in the chat or drop me an email if you guys are up for it. Because if you are, I will set up the workspace. If you're a member of PersonaSphere, it's dead easy for you to get access to it. Even if you're not a member of PersonaSphere, it's still easy. All you need to do is create an absolutely free My Personas account. And once you've done that, then we can get you invited to the workspace, and it's as easy as that. And then you can create your samples, you can drop them into the workspace. So if you guys are up for this challenge, let me know. And if I get enough interest in it, then we'll do it. We'll do it, and I'll set up the workspace for it. So, yeah. And that came from you guys, from what I saw. Rich says, "Oh boy, this is what I do on a regular basis." Yeah. Your piece should be pretty cool. So if you're up for this, then let me know. Rich says, "I like this idea a lot. Does Impact XT allow for round robin triggers? Because I have a ton of these samples I've done over the years." I don't know. That's a good question. I think so. I don't actually know. We'd have to test that, I think. Ken says, "Does anyone have a dot matrix printer?" Yeah, Alps Media says, "Let's do it." So if you guys are up for it, maybe Louis can give me a hand with this one, organizing and collating all of the samples. That might be quite a cool thing, a way to do it. But yeah, it would be really cool if we collate a bunch of samples over a period of, say, a week or two, give you time to collect a bunch of samples, then we'll build it into an impact kit. And then we can all kind of create a 3-minute piece of music just out of those sounds. It's going to sound bonkers. It's going to sound crazy. But the challenge is to make something musical out of those sounds. So, you know, you're going to have to be a little bit creative about what you do, about thematic development, and making it musical, those kind of things. Because for most of the sounds, they're not going to be pitched. Some might be, some might not be. So you're going to have a lot of unpitched items. So how do you build a piece of music out of that? You could go down the route of minimalist style composition where there are little rhythmic cells and little rhythmic patterns that you use as little ostinatos, and then you weave these little ostinatos in and out of each other to create your piece. That would definitely be one way to go. But there's a whole bunch of other ways that we can do it. Just Bob says, "What about those that do not have Sphere? How can we submit?" As I just said, all you need is a my.presonus.com account. If you have Studio One, you have one of those accounts. It's dead easy. What you would probably need to do if you do not have Persona Sphere is send me your email address. Actually, even if you do have Persona Sphere, you're probably going to need to send me your email address anyway so that I can invite you. So whether you have or don't have Persona Sphere, you still need to send me your email address. So the thing to do with that would be to email it to me. So just email me and I will collate email addresses. And then, so send me the email address that you use for my.presonus.com or sphere.presonus.com, and then I can invite you to the workspace that I will create, and then we can have a whole bunch of fun with it. And then, you know, just dump all your samples into that workspace, just upload them to that workspace, and then we can go from there. And you can either I will build an impact kit, or you guys can build your own impact kits built out of the samples that we get, and then you can start making your piece of music. I think this would be quite good fun to do. Now I have to, you know, allow for the fact that we're all busy people, and we all, you know, for the most part of us, we all have jobs, or we're self-employed, so we're all going to have different time constraints on this. So for what we do for our days. So let's see, where are we? We are on January 2nd, unless you're in the UK, in which case it's January 3rd now. So maybe we could set a time limit of the end of February for this. Now, I know I'm allowing a good long amount of time, but, you know, I want to make sure that we all kind of get the chance to do this well and do this right and make it good. I know kind of in times past we've done the December 10th challenge, where basically it was just a case of we set an arbitrary date and we all released a piece of music on that arbitrary date, which was December 10th. So it would be cool if we could do this, but let's say what is the last day of February this year? Is it a leap year this year? I'm not sure. let's go check. All right, so the deadline will be February 27th, which is the last Sunday of February. How about that? And that gives us all quite a bit of time to collate all the samples and also to build the impact kit and also start making the music with whatever it is we have. Now, you can record your samples with your phone. You don't have to set up an elaborate mic or anything else to do it. You can just record them into your voice recorder on your phone and then email them to yourself and that kind of thing to collate the samples. So there's going to be a few different ways that you can actually create your samples. But like I said, you don't have to be elaborate. You don't necessarily need to use multi-miking techniques. Although if you want to, I'm not going to stop you doing that. Absolutely. If that's the way you want to record it, then go ahead and use that technique to record your samples. Absolutely. But yeah, I'm probably going to need a good amount of help from my moderators here, including Louis from Alps Media, to help get this all together. And we can make this a cool thing. May we use Melodyne to tune them? If they are unpitched and you want to use Melodyne to kind of make them pitched, go ahead. I like the idea of maybe turning, something that is unpitched into something that then becomes pitched so you can use it for melody. Yeah, that's all up for grabs. There are no limits other than you are only allowed to use the samples that we collate. That's it. So, if you're wanting rhythm sounds, you're going to have to think about what you might want to create those rhythm sounds, like a fridge door slamming shut for a kick drum sound or something like that. By all means, create those kind of sounds. Create the kind of sounds that you think will be useful for different things, to create rhythms, to create melodies, because we're all going to be using the same samples. So it's a case of what we all do collectively to create all of these samples, and then what each individual comes up with using those samples. I think this will be a lot of fun. Just Bob says, I had to reboot, missed part of the setup. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna create a PreSonus workspace for everybody to put all of their samples in. If you don't have PreSonus, don't worry, you're not gonna be left out. If you have a My PreSonus account, if you're a Studio One user, or you have PreSonus hardware, you will have a My PreSonus account. So all you'll need to do is just email me the email address that you use to create that account. And then I can send you an invite to the workspace, and we'll have loads of people in the workspace. And then you can just drop all your samples into that workspace, and then everybody can download those and create their impact kit, or we can just create one impact kit that everybody uses. I think probably it would be easier if everybody dumps their samples into the workspace and then uses what they want from that collection to create their own impact kit. I think that probably would be an easier way to do it. Rich says, if we have a Sphere account we're going to use, I'm happy for mine to be used as I don't use the storage that much. Secondly, everyone with their own folder to avoid confusion. You got a point there. Yes. But, I mean, basically the collection of the samples is really just to create a pool of samples. So I don't really think it matters that much as to whether you have your own folder for your samples. I think, the idea is that we create a pool of samples that we all use. And Mike at Music Motion says he can help. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, I'm going to need all my mods on board to help make this happen. Because it'd be pretty cool. He also says, if I remember correctly, Impact cannot do round robin and velocity stacks at the same time. Okay, yeah, I don't really use Impact all that much, so I don't really know what it can and can't do. Lowen's is asking, he's saying, does anybody use mix effects? I just started using them. Yes, mix effects are freaking awesome. Especially if you've got the retro Mix Legends collection. They are fantastic. And they are a big step up from where we started with the mix effects, which kind of came in Studio One 3.5. We had the console shaper, and then the CTC1 was added to that a little bit later on. And now we have these 4 retro Mix Legends plugins, which are freaking awesome. And they're great. But what I would say, Lorenz, the most important piece of advice I can give you is don't treat them like they're a plugin. Because although they look like a plugin, they're not really. They are each one of those plugins. I'm going to call them a plugin because that's easiest for us to understand. But each one of those is its own audio engine in itself. It replaces the default Studio One audio engine, and it affects the audio at the event level. Is what each one of them does. So when you put in, let's say, let's say you put the Brit console on your master bus, or on any bus for that matter, anything that is going to it is affected at the event level. So even before it hits the console. So it basically replaces the default audio engine for Studio One with whatever plugin you've chosen. For example, here I have the Brit console, which is kind of a little bit SSL-like. And this is now the audio engine for Studio One. And if I swap that out for the Alpine desk, now this one is the audio engine. So what I'm trying to get at here is that when you're using the Mix Effects plugins, you're using an audio engine. So the best thing you can do is, rather than just slap it on at the end to sweeten your mix with some nice audio, some nice analog emulating vibe, like you would with, one of the Slate Digital, virtual mix rack things, or, the virtual console collection. What you do with these is you mix through them, or you record through them. You do everything through them as if it is a real actual console, and that you have everything plugged into that console. So if you treat it like it is a real console rather than something that, because the thing with the Virtual Console Collection by Slate Digital is that it just sits on top of the regular audio engine. It doesn't actually affect anything at the event level, at the audio engine level. Whereas these Mix Effects plugins, that's where they work. They work at the audio engine level. So, the Slate Virtual Console Collection just sits on top of it. The SSL console by Plugin Alliance, that also just sits on top of the audio engine. Which is why you can slap those things on at the end of your mix and go, hey, I'm just going to have a little bit of SSL vibe, or a little bit of Neve vibe, or a little bit of Trident, or whatever console it is. These Mix Effects plugins are completely different. So you need to think of them in a different way. Ow, I just punched the mic. You need to think of them in a completely different way than you would say the Slate or the Plugin Alliance or the Waves SSL plugins, or even the SSL plugins themselves, because they actually make plugins based on their consoles now. So they are completely different. Where do we get the legends? Or is it the Brit, the Porter, etc.? Yes, the Brit, the Porter. What I'm showing just now on the screen here. These here. Alpine Desk, Brit Console, and Porter Cassette. Those three are the retro mix legends mix effects plugins. The CTC1 is basically the next level console shaper. So you have the console shaper, which comes for free as standard. Everything else you have to buy from shop.presonus.com, or if you're a member of Presonosphere, you get all of those. Those are all in your account waiting for you to download. But if you're not a member of Presonosphere, you can go buy those from the shop. And they're pretty reasonably priced. So yes, so that answers that. Excuse me. And keeping on that theme of the mix effects, are they only available on bus channels? Yes, that's the only place they are available. So there, anytime you have a bus channel, so you know, if I was to create an audio channel here, I hate that garish blue. I don't know why it's defaulted to that, but anyway, if I now select this and go add bus for selected channel, now you see I have mix effects at the top of this. So I could have the CTC1 on this, and then for my mix bus, I could be going through this SSL style console. So I can have two separate consoles I could have all of my keyboards going through the CTC1, and then I could have everything ultimately being summed through this guy. If I can get it to come up. Hang on. There we go. The Brit console. So that's kind of how they work. And they are extremely cool. Let's see. Maybe some sort of standardized naming convention would help keep all of those files organized or easier to sort through. Yeah, that's a good point. Like I said, I'm kind of thinking of this idea kind of off the cuff based on what you guys have said in the chat about recording samples of things. So, yeah, some kind of naming convention would be cool. What could that be? Maybe if you put the sound and then underscore sample or something after it. I mean, they don't have to have your name on them if you don't want them to. The idea is that the samples are just a pool. It's just a pool of samples, just a collection of samples. That's it. We just create one place where everybody can put their samples into, and then everybody takes from that collection, creates their impact kit, and uses that to create their piece of music. That was kind of my thinking. I want to keep it simple so that it's easy for organizing, B, easy for you guys to get what you want from the collection, and then we are only using the sounds from that collection. We're not using any other sounds at all. So that's kind of what I was thinking. I was wanting to keep it nice and simple. Do you have a different email to send out email to you? I'm not following that question particularly. So if you want to send me your email address for this particular challenge, send it to johnny@johnnylipshamstudios.co.uk, like I've said before. But this time, instead of saying Sunday Night Live as your topic, you say, you give it the subject to do with the, what are we going to call this challenge? The Household Items Challenge, or something like that. Somebody come up with a nice little title that encapsulates it all. So mine would be RC Metal Cutlery, RC Wood Floorboard Stomp. This way people can search for metal or wood sounds. That's a good idea, actually. Yeah. Yes. Rich, that is the naming convention, so everybody make note of that. Your initials dash the item that you have sampled. That way everybody can grab what they want to grab. That's a good idea. So there's really only going to be one rule, one exception. You cannot use sounds from an already existing sample library. You have to create the samples yourself. So if you already have a sample library that has already been pre-created by somebody else or by another company, or you have purchased a household items sound set, you cannot use that. These have to be made by you. And they have to be made by me as well. So I'm going to be using my phone to record a whole bunch of things around the house. Whilst my kids are at school and my wife is out at work and, you know, that kind of thing. And before I start my day job at Presonus, I will be spending an hour in the mornings just recording stuff into my phone and then uploading them to my computer. So it could be fun. But the thing I'm trying to avoid is making this complicated, which is why I kind of suggested that we just create one place. And that's why I suggested a Presonisphere workspace. And then everybody just drops their samples into that workspace, and then everybody can take what samples they want. They can download what samples they want from that collection to use for their piece. You don't have to use all of them. You could just, if you wanted to only use 5 of those samples, just use 5. If you want to use all of them, then use all of them. I want to make it simple. I want to hang on to Zoom after. Personally, I might not, because I have had late nights the last couple of nights because I have been on your Zooms. But if anybody else would like to join Mike at Music to Motion on his hilarious Zoom calls, then at the end of the show, he will put the link to the Zoom call in the chat, and you can go and join him. They are hilarious. They are loads of fun. And his bunch of mates are just a fantastic bunch. So, Peter Brooks says all VST synths use the same audio chipset on your computer, therefore they all sound the same, are the same, other than VSTs that use audio samples of the real instrument. I'm not quite sure what you're referring to there, Peter. Oh, I forgot to turn my notification sounds off. I shall do that right now. Notifications, turn off. There we go. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what you're referring to there, Peter. Just Bob says, let's call the challenge the House Music Challenge. Well, that could also suggest that the style that we're going to do this in is house music, which I don't think we are. Maybe the domestic appliance music challenge, but that kind of limits the scope of it to just domestic appliances. How about the household? The household challenge. The household sounds music challenge. Something like that. Yeah, something like that. I'm not. Yeah. The house music challenge kind of maybe sounds like we're going to be making a house music style piece, which we're not really. We're kind of around the house music challenge. Yeah, we're getting close to a good title. I like your thinking. Around the house music, unusual sounds. I think Domestic Sounds Challenge. Yeah. How about the Domestic Sounds Music Challenge? What do you guys think to that? The Domestic Sounds Music Challenge. Maybe that would do it. The Domestic Sounds, because that means that you can record anything that's domestic. So, you know, expand the scope just a little bit to allow the sound of your car starting up, or, you know, car doors. The Foley Moly Challenge. That's good. The Foley Moly Challenge. I mean, essentially, that's what we're doing. We're creating a Foley sound set that we can all use to make an interesting piece of music just using those sounds. Locked down in-house. It could be the lock. Here you go. Foley Moly. The Foley Moly Lockdown Music Challenge, or something like that. I like the Foley Moly Challenge. Foley Moly Challenge. I like that. That's very, very cool. All right. I think that might be what we call it. Yeah, I think maybe that's what we should call it. The Household Foley Moly Challenge. There we go. I'm kind of trying to amalgamate a couple of different ideas that are kind of pointing in the right direction. So that's what we'll call it. The Household Foley Moly Music Challenge. Household Foley Moly Music Challenge. I couldn't actually continue the whole Foley Moly rhyming thing, unfortunately. But yeah, Foley Moly music, the Foley Moly Challenge. I like that. Cool. All right, so I will create a workspace in PreSonusPHERE that has that name. And then as soon as I start getting emails in, I will start sending out invitations to people that want to take part. There's no obligation to take part. If you don't want to take part, that's fine. Not a problem. But if you are up for it, send me your My Personas or Sphere email address, and then I can send out the invite, and then you can just start putting in your samples. So we'll give it a wee while just to collate samples, and then once there's a good lot of samples in there, you guys can go and help yourselves and create your impact kit and start making your piece. So maximum time limit for the actual piece, performance length of the piece is going to be 3 minutes. That would be the maximum. I've already made a synth from a vacuum cleaner. Can I also make wavetables from sounds? Well, see, you've got a distinct advantage, Rich, because you know how to do all of that stuff. Not all of us do, so I think maybe let's just keep it strictly just to keeping it simple, to just sounds that you can drag into an impact kit, basically. But yeah, it does sound like fun. Foley is what we're creating. Foley Sounds is it's a film score sound effects kind of terminology, where you know you have the sounds that you know when you're watching a film scene, and let's say somebody gets out of the car, you hear the car door open, you hear the car door shut. Those are all sounds that we call Foley sounds. And they usually come from libraries. I'm pretty sure there must be like loads of major libraries that are available that has all of this stuff in them anyway. And so sound designers for films, that's what they do. They create all of these sounds. Sometimes they create them from scratch. Sometimes it's a sound library that they use, and then they have to just sync them all up to the picture, so that when you see the door open, you hear the door open. When you see the door close, you hear the door close at the same time. Peterbrick says, have you seen somebody compare different VST synthesizers on their computer and they sound the same? That is because they are both using the same audio chipset on the computer. Well, that would only be the case if each computer has exactly the same audio chipset. Not every computer does. Some do, some don't. Kind of depends what you're using. If you're using an audio interface, then you're not going to be using the same audio chipsets, I don't think. But yeah, if you're comparing different synthesizers, like maybe you're comparing the Korg synth, one of the Korg synth VSTs to a Roland. There is a Roland, I think there's a Roland D70 sound pack out there. If you're comparing those two, then yeah, they're going to sound different because those samples are created in a different way. And they're samples of different sounds from different keyboards. So they are going to sound different from that perspective. I think that's what you're getting at. I'm not 100% sure. Foley is natural sounds, found sounds. Yes, that would be correct. Claps, footsteps, winds. Yep, those are all Foley. Yep, that is what we're talking about. Which is why Rich Cresswell came up with the name. And he says, as soon as it's ready, I'll upload some for you guys to get started and hopefully will inspire you. So the rules for the challenge are simple. The rules for the challenge are that you personally have to create the sound. So that means you have to, if you want a fridge door closing, you have to mic up your fridge or use your phone and record the sound of you slamming the fridge door shut. So you have to record the sound yourself. You cannot use libraries and you cannot use existing samples that have already been created by somebody else. So that's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is that the piece of music that you create must be no longer than 3 minutes long. It can be shorter than that. You might decide that you only want to do something that's a minute or 90 seconds long. That's fine. It doesn't have to be the full 3 minutes, but 3 minutes long is the maximum. And I think pretty much that is it for rules. So that would be that on that subject. Any other questions? There's the link to the Zoom call if you want to get involved in the Zoom call. They are really good fun. I heartily recommend them. And in fact, that's what I did after my New Year's show. I went straight on that call, and I think I was up until almost dawn here in Scotland. So they are great fun, and there's a lot of really good banter. I like to go to those when I can, but I've done like loads of them recently, and I have to be up the next morning. So that would be why I'm not going to be going on the call tonight. But yeah, I heartily recommend you go on them whenever Mike does them. And that brings us pretty much to the end of the show. So this week I will create the workspace, and I will get that set up. I'm going to talk to Louis at Alps Media to help me get it organized, and my other moderators, I need you guys as well. So maybe we might do a Zoom call with you guys, who are my moderators, to help me kind of organize it and get it together. And when I create the workspace, maybe I'll have you guys as administrators on that workspace as well, to help kind of organize it. So there we go. I think that pretty much wraps everything up. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming. I really appreciate all of you. And this is going to be a fun first challenge of 2022. And we'll see. I'm really looking forward to seeing what everybody comes up with, actually. And I'm looking forward to what I'm going to come up with. I have no idea what my piece is going what I'm going to do, what sounds I'm going to use, but I'm sure I will find some, and I'm sure I will make a little selection of some interesting sounds. And then the challenge is making something musical out of them. We'll see how that goes. That might be harder than we all think, to make something musical out of them. But yeah, so if you have an Atom or an Atom SQ, you will find something like that invaluable for triggering your samples. When you've got them into your impact kit, you'll find that really, really helpful, because you can trigger multiple different samples at once if you need to. You can just play it like a drum kit if you want. That could be quite cool fun as well. So there we go. First challenge of 2022, and I think it would be pretty cool if we maybe do a couple more challenges throughout the course of this year. So if you guys have an idea for a challenge to create a piece of music, then let me know. Drop me an email and say, hey, I've got this idea for another challenge, and then we can work out best where to fit that in over the course of the year, and then everybody can take part if they want to. So just Bob says, is there a limit to how many samples we can submit, or should there be? I don't think so. I mean, the more samples we've got, the better, I think. I think maybe the thing we want to avoid is kind of maybe duplication, because it might not be a good idea if we have the sound of 50 fridges closing, because then that's all we'll have. So if you see that there are already a couple of fridge closing samples in the workspace, then maybe, don't include a fridge door closing. So keep an eye on kind of what's going into the workspace, and so that we don't have too much duplication. I don't mind there being a little bit of overlap, but if there's like 50 fridges and 50 microwaves and 2,000 vacuum cleaners, vacuum cleaner concerto, oh, that could be fun. You guys have just given me a belter of an idea. Thank you. But yeah, I don't think that there should be a fixed in stone rule about limits to samples, but try and avoid duplication. We don't want 5,000 fridges or 5,000 front door closing or 621 doorbells. Even if your doorbell does play the entire French national anthem, maybe that's not what we want. Ricky says, am I too late? Yeah, we are just wrapping up the show, Ricky, but as soon as this show is done, it will be available for replay. So you can go ahead and watch it from the beginning, and if you want to be involved in the challenge that I've just been talking about, you are very welcome to be involved, Ricky. Absolutely. For sure. I think Rich Cresswell is already very excited. Play your song and closing the show, please. I was late. Yes, absolutely, I'm going to do that. Let me just cue it up again. Yeah, we don't want to play it just yet. Alright, so there we go, folks. Happy New Year to everybody. And I will see you all on Wednesday for the first Songwriting Simplified of the year over on the Home Studio Trainer YouTube channel, 6 p.m. Central Time. Should be a good one. We did a review of the year on the last one, so I've yet to discuss what we're going to be doing going through the course of the next several months with Jonny, so I need to get on a Skype call and discuss that with him in the next day or two. So, don't know what we're going to talk about yet, but there will be something that we have planned for Wednesday. And of course, we'll always have your questions. Your questions are awesome. So, I will see you guys then. Bye for now.